They come to me on sunny days. They cross my stones happily, tails wagging. And then, at the same spot, on the same side, every single time, they jump. Over 300 dogs have leaped from me. More than 50 never came back. Some that survived came back and jumped again. I am Overtoun Bridge, and I do not know why they do it. That is what terrifies me most. I exist in a place of extraordinary beauty. Near the village of Milton, in West Dunbartonshire, Scotland, the Overtoun burn flows 50 feet below my stones, cold and dark and patient. Ancient oak trees line my banks. Moss grows on every surface of me. From above, I look like something from a fairy tale. 3 granite arches, rough-faced ashlar stone, Victorian craftsmanship from 1895, a bridge that was built to connect a wealthy lord's estate to the world beyond his lands. Nobody built me to be feared. Nobody designed me to be dangerous. Nobody intended me to become what I became. Locals have called me many things over the decades. The Bridge of Death, Rover's Leap, and the name that follows me everywhere now, the name whispered by people across the entire world. The Dog Suicide Bridge. This is my story, and I still do not have all the answers. To understand what I became, you must first understand who built me. In 1859, a Scottish industrialist named James White purchased the Overtoun estate, 900 acres of highland land, eventually growing to 2,000 acres. White was a chemical manufacturer, wealthy, powerful, ambitious. He commissioned a grand Scots baronial mansion, Overtoun House, completed in 1862. When James White died in 1884, his son John Campbell. White inherited everything. John expanded the estate further. In 1893, he was elevated to the peerage, Lord Overtoun. Lord Overtoun was considered a deeply religious man, a philanthropist, a charitable figure. He prayed in his castle above the burn. He gave generously to churches and missions. But there was a shadow over his name. In 1899, a politician named Keir Hardie exposed the conditions inside Lord Overtoun's chemical factory. The workers, known as White's Whistlers, had their nasal passages destroyed by chromate exposure, their skin so raw from chemical burns that some wore wire cages around their bodies to stop their clothing from touching their wounds. And still they worked, while Lord Overtoun prayed above them. Some who believe in the darkness of my stones say this suffering is woven into me, that the bridge Lord Overtoun built was built on pain. I do not know if that is true. I only know what happened after. In 1892, Lord Overtoun hired landscape architect Henry Milner to design a bridge across the deep ravine that split his estate. My construction was completed in June 1895. Lady Overtoun herself dedicated me. I was built to be beautiful. I was built to be useful. I was built to last. I have lasted, and so has everything that followed. For half a century, I was simply a bridge. People crossed my stones, dogs trotted across my arches. The Overtoun burn ran below me. The seasons changed. Nothing extraordinary happened. Then, something changed. After the Second World War, the reports began, quietly at first. A dog that bolted unexpectedly, an owner confused by their pet's sudden behavior, a local story whispered over fences and at church doors. By the 1950s, the whispers had become something impossible to ignore. Dogs crossing my stones were suddenly running to the right-hand side, specifically the right-hand side, always the same side, stopping, staring at something over my parapet, something their owners could not see, and then jumping. Not falling, not slipping, jumping, with force, with intention, as if called. 50 feet below my stones, the Overtoun burn waits on its rocky bed. Some dogs survived. Broken legs, broken bones, traumatized, their owners said, by whatever they had seen. And the ones that survived. Some of them came back to me, crossed my stones again, and jumped again. By the time the world began paying attention, researchers had recorded over 300 dogs leaping from me, more than 50 losing their lives on the rocks below. All from the same spot, all from the same side, almost always, on clear sunny days. I have watched many people try to explain what happens on my stones. In 2004, Kenneth Meikle was walking across me with his family and his golden retriever. Without warning, the dog bolted, ran straight for my parapet, and went over. It survived. Kenneth Meikle described it as the most terrifying moment of his life. In 2005, 5 dogs jumped from me in the space of 6 months. 5 in 6 months. The story spread across Scotland, then across the world. In 2014, a woman named Alice Trevorrow was walking her Springer Spaniel, Cassie, across me. She had let Cassie off her lead. Her dog was perfectly obedient. There was no reason for concern. Then she noticed Cassie had stopped, was staring at something above my bridge, something Alice could not see. Cassie jumped. Alice later said, "She definitely saw something that made her jump. There is something sinister going on. It was so out of character for her." In 2019, the owners of Overtoun House had lived beside me for 17 years. They had watched dogs fall from my stones more times than they could count. A young woman named Jenna from Glasgow told of walking across my stones. The first time I reached a point, and it was as if the air got thinner. My stomach jumped, like when you miss a step going down a flight of stairs. The second time, I just couldn't stop feeling like something bad was going to happen. She was not a dog. She felt it too. I do not know what they are sensing. I can only tell you, they are sensing something. There is one event in my history that I carry differently from everything else. In October 1994, a man named Kevin Moy came to me with his wife and his 2-week-old baby son. It was the baby's first time outside, 2 weeks old, seeing the world for the first time. Kevin Moy was suffering from severe paranoid psychosis. He had become convinced that his baby son was the Antichrist, that the child would infect the world with evil. He chose me, specifically me, because of what he had heard about my stones, because of the dark spirits he believed lived within me, because of ancient associations with druids that had been whispered about my location for centuries. Standing on my bridge, Kevin Moy threw his 2-week-old son into the ravine below. The baby died in hospital the following day. Kevin Moy tried to jump after his son. His wife pulled him back from my parapet. He was arrested, committed to a mental institution. He survived. I have never been the same since that October morning. And locals have noted something that has never been explained. The spot from which dogs most frequently jump is the same spot from which that baby was thrown. The same spot. Coincidence or something else? I have stood here for 130 years, and I still do not know which one it is. The scientists came to me. I was grateful. I wanted answers more than anyone. Canine psychologist Dr. David Sands spent considerable time studying my stones. He examined 3 possible explanations: sight, sound, scent. Sight. He eliminated quickly. My parapeats are 18 inches thick and high enough that dogs cannot see over them when standing. They would need to actively jump up to look over. which means they are not simply curious about what they can see. Something else is drawing them forward. Sound, he investigated next. One theory had suggested that nearby Royal Navy submarines were emitting frequencies that drove dogs to madness. This theory was tested and dismissed. The frequencies were not present at my location in any meaningful measure. Scent. This is where Dr. Sands paused longest. Beneath my stones, in the deep ravine below my parapet, live colonies of American mink, introduced to Scotland in the 1920s. Their musk, their territorial scent markings, rise upward through the gaps in my stones. Dogs, with their extraordinary sense of smell, 40 times more powerful than any human, may be detecting this scent rising from below, becoming so overwhelmed, so consumed by the hunting instinct, that they lose all awareness of height, of danger, of their own safety. And the question that no scientist has ever answered: why do the survivors come back? A dog that has fallen 50 feet onto rocks, broken and bleeding and traumatized, has experienced the consequence of jumping from me. And still, some return and jump again. No mink scent explains that. No ultrasonic frequency explains that. That I have never been able to explain to anyone, because I do not understand it myself. Science gave the world one answer. The people who have lived beside me their entire lives gave the world another. And theirs is older. The land I stand on has been considered a thin place for centuries. Thin places, in ancient Celtic belief, are locations where the boundary between the living world and the world beyond is so fragile, so worn, that what exists on the other side can almost be touched, almost be heard, almost be felt. The Celts believe certain locations on Earth carried this quality. Certain hills, certain rivers, certain crossings over water. I am a crossing over water. I have always been a crossing over water. Local historians point to something that has never been fully explained. The area around my stones has been associated with supernatural presence since long before Lord Overtoun built me in 1895, since long before any bridge existed here at all. The ravine below me, the Overtoun Burn, was considered a sacred and dangerous place by the people who lived here centuries ago, a place where the water ran differently, where the air felt different, where animals behaved strangely, long before I existed to stand above it. A local minister who studied my history said, "There is a presence here. I have felt it myself standing on these stones. Whether it is spiritual or whether it is something science has not yet named, I cannot say, but it is real." And there is one more detail that the rational mind struggles to place anywhere comfortable. Dogs jump from me almost exclusively on clear, bright days. Not in rain, not in fog, not in darkness. In sunshine. Ancient Celtic tradition held that thin places were most active, most open, most dangerous during times of brightness, when the light was strongest, when the veil between worlds grew thinnest in the clarity of full sun. I am not saying this is the explanation. I am saying I have stood here for 130 years, and the pattern has never once broken. Sunny day, same spot, same side. Every single time. Make of that whatever you can. I have learned something from 130 years of standing above this burn. There are questions on this earth that Earth itself cannot answer. I am one of them. And perhaps that is the most honest thing any place has ever admitted. I do not have all the answers. I am not sure anyone does. I only know that they keep coming. tail's wagging on sunny days. And I keep watching, helpless and waiting for an answer that has not arrived in 130 years. My stones are still here. Locals have placed warning signs on me now. Signs asking owners to keep their dogs on leads when crossing my bridge. A barrier has been discussed, never fully built. People still come to me, not just to cross, but to stand on my stones and feel whatever it is there is to feel. The Overtoun burn still flows 50 feet below me, cold, dark, patient. The oak trees still line my banks. The moss still grows on every surface of me. I still watch. I am Overtoun Bridge. The place with no complete answer. The place that is still waiting for the question to finally be understood. I have many more stories to tell. If you wish to listen, subscribe. Earth Speaks every week